Hi everyone, welcome along to the channel and welcome to a new playlist called Motorsport in History here on my channel. Firstly, I want to say a big thank you for everyone that has watched all the content over the course of the 2022 season, as Commentators Corner will also continue into next year. And so will this Motorsport in History. And this is a perfect way to end the 2022 season for yours truly. I've had a very, very busy year, and I want to thank everyone that has taken the time to say hi to me, give me welcome compliments, really help me to be very, very humble in what I do, being able to work in the motorsport industry full time now for what has been just the best part of over 2.5 years. And for that, I'm truly grateful. But the first thing with regards to motorsport in history, you have to look at famous surnames in motorsport, such as Schumacher, Prost, Barrichello, and a whole host of others, but there's two that stand out more than most. The names Hunt and Lauda. Now, of course, whenever you mention those two surnames, instantly the first thing people think of is Formula One 1976, when McLaren and Ferrari were at the peak of their powers and very much fighting for supremacy within Formula One. And along came two drivers, one who was cold, who was calculating, was very, very much the strategic driver. And then you had the flamboyant playboy, the one who would get along with everybody, have a great time, but also race hard and fair. And those two people were three-time Formula One world champion Niki Lauda and one-time Formula One world champion, and also a commentator in his own right, Mr. James Hunt. Now, with regards to famous names in motorsport, there is always that expectation of the lineage that directly descends from said surnames. And the same can be very much said about this film, which concentrates on the efforts and the progression of both Freddie Hunt and Mathias Lauda. Two very, very heavily pressurized individuals who were expected to perform like their fathers did back in the days when safety was a second thought before a lot of tragedy in Formula One and the efforts of one Sir Jackie Stewart changed the way that motorsport has evolved in terms of health and safety for not just then, not just now, but also for the future. Now, this particular film, provided through Kaleidoscope Home Entertainment and directed by Charlotte Fantelli, is just over an hour and 20 minutes long, but it really gives you a definitive insight because everyone was waiting for Hunt versus Lauda Part 2, and that did take place in Donington Park at the Sports Prototype Cup in the Revolution A1 class between Freddie and Mathias. Now, the story itself, it provides a very, very warts and all, uncompromising look into their lives, how they grew up. Freddie growing up with more of a motherly influence as opposed to a fatherly figure because we lost James in the mid-1990s, just after the Canadian Grand Prix in 95. Mathias, however, had a very different childhood, had a loving father who would spend as much time as he could, depending on the fact of running two airlines and then also reigniting his Formula One career in the 1980s to come back and become a three-time Formula One world champion. And what's really, really uncanny is how close to the characteristical traits that their fathers had in both method, character, and lifestyle, how similar they are. As they do say, it's like a chip off the old block. But what you also see is a very, very candid and insightful look into their lives, their characters as individuals, the way they carry themselves. They also have had the desire to compete, and they had different pathways in comparison to what their fathers did when they were running in Formula 3000, Formula V, Formula Ford, and then also to see how much has changed in the best part of nearly 5 decades. because motorsport these days is a business. You know, you can have all the speed in the world, but if you haven't got the budget to back it up with, or the sponsors to help you, then it's a very, very different ladder, a lot more of a difficult ladder to climb. But both Mathias and Freddie are incredibly passionate individuals, one being a bit of a late bloomer in comparison with the other, but raced together as teammates and also raced against each other as rivals. But also, this explores another facet of motorsport, of the mental and physical exertion that one individual has to deal with. And a lot of the times it can be alone. Mental health these days has become a bit more paramount, and you get an understanding from both Mathias and from Freddie how they feel, or looking back at certain moments in their lives. There's also some great insight from family, from friends, from people that know them, such as Tilly Klaus, who's Mathias Lauda's uncle, and also the brother of his mum, Marlena Klaus, formerly Lauda, Claire Lauda, Mathias's wife, Freddie's aunt Jo, who was talking about the days of when the Hunt family was pushed into the limelight in the 70s and how uncomfortable she felt about it. But also, folks, one of the other good things about this particular film, there is some racing, and it's between Freddie and Mathias. I'm going to have to let you all wait and see until you've watched this film to find out who's won. And it may not be the results you might be expecting. That's all I'm going to say. But for me, as someone who enjoys motorsport, not just the modern day, but also the past, the film chronologically is set in the right way, that it starts with where we first see both Mathias and Freddie about to go out on track in 2021 in the Sports Prototype Cup as part of the Brit Car Endurance Series run by Claire Headley at Donington Park, a circuit that I've commentated at myself, and it was the full GP circuit, including the Melbourne hairpin. But then it takes a little bit of a historical turnaround before we go full circle to the racing for both Freddie and Mathias. And it also showcases some really, really great in-depth insights from people within the industry, including, one particular individual by the name of Joseph Thomas, a man who's still the owner of M&N Racing, who decided to take a jump and take an opportunity that no one else had done so far. Get the names Hunt and Lauda, or what's more, get them under the same stable, racing together in the MRF Challenge in 2014, which ran at Bahrain, Chennai, and Qatar that year. But also it talks about a lot of other things, such as family, and also how they prepare mentally and physically. For me, this particular film speaks volumes because it's done the right way. It showcases where the previous generation have been and where the current generation are now. And with a lot of documentaries, sometimes that are not really documentaries, but they're more dramas. And I'll give you one particular instance. And you're going to probably say to me, why are you mentioning Drive to Survive? Well, for very good reason. Now, the thing is that Drive to Survive has done one good thing for Formula One. It's brought in newer fans to the sport. But a docudrama is very different to a documentary. And to see Mathias and Freddie going about where they reside, Freddie in Scotland, Mathias in Ibiza, you can see the differences in these two individuals. But it's also heartwarming. It really does show that behind the visor, behind the race suit, these two guys are individuals. And they have heart, they have soul, they have passion, they have motivation. And they're also, at the end of the day, human beings just like you and I. So now available on DVD and digital download for $9.99 UK, Great British pounds, you can get yourselves a copy of Kaleidoscope Home Entertainment's Hunt versus Lauda, The Next Generation. For me, it's an 8.5 out of 10. I love the way that the fabric of the story is put together in an eloquent way. It's chronologically correct, and also it completes the circle. And that, to me, you know, hearing some of the stories that were said not just by Freddie and Mathias, but some of the other people that have been asked to, you know, talk about Freddie and Mathias, really does showcase that. And you even had an appearance from Sir Chris Hoy, which was fantastic to see, who's now in his own right a man that's filled to the veins with motorsport. But don't just take my word for it. Grab a copy, sit down, grab your beverage of choice and enjoy it, because that's what these are meant to be. So don't forget, get your copy of Hunt versus Lauda, The Next Generation. A big thank you to Strike Media's Keir Waller for giving me the opportunity to review this movie. And I have to say, it's been a thoroughly enjoyable watch. So that's it from me. But before I give you the trailer for Hunt versus Lauda, The Next Generation, just want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I'll see you all around the next Apex, which is 2023. So until then, thanks for watching. See you soon. Goodbye, and see you next year.
Sons of former world champions. Putting in some great lap times. The two sons of speed. This could be a battle right to the checkered flag. He really has got the speed here today. Who'll be on the pole? Hunt or Lauda?